Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Come on, buddy. Come on. Well, as you could see, that guy, he was going to give it his all to come over to the door, but he said, I'm going back. Oh, it's so funny. It was really cute. He's just such a doll. Yeah, we had a little snowstorm blow in, and it's still snowing. If you could see my windshield right now, I almost look shadowed because I can't even see out of it, but I'm not driving, so. Yeah, I think we probably ended up getting about, if I had to guess, 3 inches, maybe a little bit more. It came in for sure, but the worst part was the wind. Finding out what areas have gaps in them, because snow just goes right through it. It's kind of a pain. So there's a little bit of anxiety this morning. I had to go out and kind of check everything and look over, and you have to mentally prepare it. Especially, when you have animals and stuff to care for, you're always kind of vigilant. So yeah, I spent a good part of my morning out with the snow smacking my face, but I absolutely love it. Like I've always it's like gives me energy. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I wanted to show you guys something that I found. I'd done a video toward the end of summer, and I was kind of talking about how things were kind of not going where I thought they would in my life at the time. And if I remember right, I was talking about not assuming what you see. Don't make assumptions about people's lives. And I found something after I made that video that I've been wanting to show you guys for quite a while, and I keep forgetting about it. And yesterday I was putting some dishes away, and where I had to put it so that it wouldn't get ruined, and you'll see here in a second what I'm talking about, I found it and I was like, okay, I'm showing you guys this on this video. And I actually think it kind of will lead into what I want to talk about. But take a look at what I found. So I know some of you guys are like, okay, that's super creepy. But you know what? If anything was to describe me as a little girl growing up, I was a glittery tomboy. Like, I loved stuff like that, or catching bugs and crawling up in my tree and, hanging out all day with them. And that's just who I was. So to find that with the teeth still intact and just perfectly preserved sitting there, I thought was kind of cool. I know it's kind of Wednesday Addams-ish, but I'm not fascinated with death. I love nature and, the science, I guess, of it. But a lot of people don't know that Wednesday Addams, they think she was just kind of weird. But Wednesday Addams was actually a sociopath. And those are some interesting creatures, I will tell you that. They have people think, a lot of times people will get sociopaths and psychopaths mixed up, and they are similar. But one of the differences is that sociopaths, they do feel primary emotions. They feel anxiety, fear, and excitement. And I would actually argue that those feelings are heightened because they don't feel complex emotions of empathy, guilt, remorse, and love. And so those emotions, well, that's love. I mean, you can't have love without remorse and empathy and guilt. And so that's why she was kind of pegged as weird, because she didn't feel remorse for death or anything like that. So kind of a little thing. But this leads into what I want to talk about. I had mentioned on, not my Thanksgiving video, but the video before that, I had mentioned I wanted to extend upon this whole AI garbage. And I said it, garbage. I don't like it. And I will keep saying it on here. Because I've watched another video a few days ago that I think is great for you guys to hear what my insight is on it, because I'm really curious as to if you agree or you disagree. So here we go. Video was about, he was a psychologist or psychiatrist, or maybe a psychiatrist. And he was very hard to understand. He had a very thick, heavy Indian accent, but I focused and I listened to him. And it was about intelligence. And is our intelligence getting lower as time? Is human intelligence, are we getting dumber, basically? And studies have found that yes, we actually are less intelligent than our peak at where, we were able to start getting more intelligent. And I guess since a certain year, our intelligence has actually dropped on average like 2 points in IQ. And he went over a few different reasons of what could possibly be causing it. And one of them was idiocracy. So that is actually a term. And real simply said, the way he described it is that idiocracy is basically stupid people breeding and continuing to breed those kind of stupid genes. And so over time, people just get more and more and more dumb, and that the more educated, smarter people aren't breeding as fast as the dumb people. And then basically over time, the majority of humans become dumb. And the other one was just uninformed or a lack of information. We don't have the access to information. And he disqualified both of those as being part of anything that's leading to this. Obviously, idiocracy, he was saying, would just take so much time for that to actually have us devolve so much to the point where we're, slugs. But what he said it was, and what they're finding is it's too much information. There's so much information that is coming to us that and I've said this before, this was prior actually to seeing this video, we can't absorb all that information. And so it's leading to, I think of it like, I'm kind of an analogy person, or I'm visual. I think of it like a sponge, right? And you put it in the water, it's dry, you put it in the water, it soaks up all the water. Well, then you take it and you go and you put it in another bucket of water, it's not going to soak up any more of that water. No matter how many buckets you go and stick it in, the sponge is wet and it's fully absorbed. And that's kind of us with information. Like, we have so much coming in that we can't absorb it. And I didn't expect this coming, but it did. He gave some advice. He talked about working on your concentration, looking at more educated, clearly educated information. I hate to say this because I feel like anyone could say, well, your channel's all, opinion. And you're right, but I try to base it off of facts and things that I've seen to make a point. But I always encourage you guys to come up with your own, conclusion. But read books. Read a book over. I could rip on channels, and I don't want to do that. But there are channels out there that are typically, they have their name in it, and they'll call it entertainment or TV or media. And then it's just them sitting there like being a mouthpiece for something. And he did lead this into how Trump got elected again this term. Like, are we are we getting dumber? And that's how this guy is back in office. And I heard it and I thought, okay, and one point that he did say about that, he said that if we continue to go on this path of absorbing information, over-absorbing information, that our intelligence will continue to decrease and we will end up with more Donald Trumps in office. And first the panic lights go off, and then I absorbed it. I thought about it, and I was like, I can appreciate his point of view. And here I am, just, an hairstylist arguing with a psychiatrist about his reasoning. But although I would agree with him somewhat, I think it's more. And I would argue that it's not so much a lack of information, but it's a lack of emotion. And the reason I would argue that is, yes, our intelligence may be dropping. And he even said, 2 points isn't enough to, make us all turn into slugs. But even at that, we still have the intelligence to feed ourselves, to, take care of ourselves, even if we kind of got a little not as smart. But without the lack of certain emotions, we could not survive. And basic survival emotions are fear, anger, disgust, and surprise. So let's think about that for a second. When you go on to your social media feed and you're scrolling and you're looking, how many times do you see things that are so compelling that it just ruined your whole day? And I'm talking think about what happened yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. There is some major stuff happening right now. And maybe you would disagree. On a daily basis, we are not absorbing that. We are not retaining how serious some of this stuff going on is. And so my feeling, we're losing feeling to, and I've talked about this with nostalgia, to associate something, the traumatic things that are happening right now. I'm going to give you some examples of some things that are similar to this. Childbirth. Ever had a child before, women out there? It hurts like nothing you've ever experienced in your life. And yes, I thought I was going to split in half and die. I ended up having to have my son naturally because he came in about 5 hours, and it was 2 pushes and he was out. I mean, it was traumatic. And I know not all are that way, but the feeling of childbirth is like nothing you would ever want to induce upon yourself after you've experienced that. And so nature said, well, we need to keep reproducing. And if these women remember how freaking painful that is, we're going to go extinct. So women actually, right after they pass a child, release, I believe it's oxytocin, but there is a hormone that is released that instantly lessens your feeling about how painful that was. And so it allows the woman to want to have more children. Otherwise, we would have gone extinct. SSRIs. I will open up. I have been on them when I was younger. I mentioned in my last video, I do have some social anxiety and general anxiety, but I had gone to a doctor. I had talked to him about what I was feeling, and there you go. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, after experiencing social anxiety and how hard it is and how stifling it can feel, when you are on that medication, you feel like Superman, like you're invincible. You can go, you can talk, you could do like I'm talking right now on camera, and you don't get that panic, and you start to feel it and it goes away. And I mean, I wouldn't ever put myself on those again, because I know some people need them. This is not medical advice, but it does dampen a lot of feelings. I mean, it dampens your happiness, your sadness, your, I would argue remorse and guilt, and it just keeps everything down here. And you actually have a hard time, at least this was my experience, when I think back, there are things I couldn't remember, like from that prior year. And again, in my opinion, we associate things with feelings. We go back because we remember feeling scared, or we remember feeling happy or sad, or, in love, whatever that is. But if you have had those emotions tampered down, you can't relate to it, which, like a sociopath, they don't get to experience all that. So they don't function like a normal person. But being in an abusive relationship, that you're constantly hypervigilant. Your emotions are just a roller coaster, and it numbs you, especially when you get out of that relationship and you look back, you feel like a ghost. And you also feel like time just kind of merged together. This one is going to be really out of center field, but TikTok. I was a huge TikTok content creator, and I couldn't describe it, but when I was using TikTok constantly every day, there was a vacuum that I felt like I was in. I would almost call it like a soft launch metaverse, because it's short content. So you're scrolling, you see happy, sad, scared, not so much scared, but all these emotions in a matter of minutes, just flipping through your phone. And I mean, people get addicted to it because they're getting dopamine highs. And so you're just seeing it. And then after a while, you're scrolling because you still want to feel that emotion from that, but you're not. It's killed. Your dopamine has flooded your receptors. It's the sponge in the water that it doesn't do it for you anymore. And so that right there, I would say, is a huge one, and a good reason why I am not on TikTok anymore. But government mind controls too. Those programs were not to make people more dumb. They were to confuse the mind so that your emotions weren't able to help you regulate survival type instincts. And so when you look at how we could be controlled, it's not because we're getting dumber. And this is my opinion. Yeah, we are getting dumber because we're getting lazier and we're not using our brain to think. We want to let AI do it all for us and make our lives so much quicker and faster and easier and more and more and more. Scroll. Are you getting where I'm going with this? Like the pattern that is being created here? It's the smart glasses. Oh my gosh, can you imagine what those are going to do when everybody has those on their face? They're constantly being fed. It's constant feeding of news sources, music, clips, people talking and saying their opinions nonstop in your eyes. So this is where I would argue with him. I think that, yes, we are getting dumber, but what we are exposing our brains to on a daily basis, and where this information is coming from, where that technology is headed to with the smart glasses, with the brain chip, the AI that allows it to confuse reality. I mean, you look at TikTok. As a creator, you have filters, you have green screens, you have, different voices. I mean, it really, in a sense, is kind of a soft launch metaverse. I mean, you can really be anything you want to be on there. And it's confusing our mind because it is so saturated that it doesn't know how to feel anymore, because it has come at us so fast. Now, if we don't have the fear, the anger, the disgust, the surprise, because, I mean, look at the stuff that happens on a daily basis. It takes a lot for us to get disgusted and stay disgusted. Not that, I think we still experience it, I would argue, at kind of a half rate now, not what you would have back in the 80s. Like, if you were to put a social media feed in front of go back in time and give it to somebody in the 80s, they would probably just, like, they wouldn't know how to process that. And yet we're sitting here just scrolling, and our minds are trying to filter all this out. And that is what I think is happening to us. That is why I think that Trump got into office again. And I hate to say it, if his point is that more Trumps to follow, and hopefully not literally, because yeah, he can go out and assault women. Yeah, he can go out and blow people up in Venezuela and murder them. Yeah, he can go and put National Guard troops on our city streets after it's been judged illegal, and then they get shot and killed at 20 years old. He's going to do it because he is a sociopath. He has no remorse. He has no guilt. Mark my words, he will continue to do this. Putting 500 more National Guardsmen on the street, like I said, I'm not going to get into that because I have some very, I think, insightful thoughts on it that I haven't heard yet. Maybe in time it'll come out, but I really wanted to talk about this today, even though that has been on my mind. I mean, hello. That woman, that girl, was only a year older than my son, who's in the Army. I can't talk about it, but this is what is happening, in my opinion, to us. We are turning into slugs because our emotions are dying. They're going away. And it's all to be able to go faster, more, quicker, get this, get that, scroll, next hit. And I do think that with the introduction of these smart glasses and the metaverses that are going to be coming out, and then eventually the brain chips, this is where we are at the point where it is intentionally to control our minds and have us just be in the tubes, like on the Matrix. And it's really unfortunate because it's not going to change and it's not going to get better unless you individually take steps to not be subject to that. And that's going to take some super hard discipline. I mean, we're all basically heroin addicts, except it's dopamine. And, when you look at a serious addict, they have to have an intervention. And in the end, it's only them that makes that decision to turn their life around. And I believe we've reached a point where if you want to continue, you want to live in the real world, and you want to eat real food and drink fresh water and go out and enjoy the outdoors, breathe fresh air, you're gonna have to be disciplined and have an intervention on yourself and cut off what you're feeding your mind with every single day. And I have said that before. Stop watching crap. Stop watching AI-fed videos. Get off of TikTok. I promise you, your life will be so much better. That is there's so many things I could say about that, but I don't want to get into this too much more. But you've got to be disciplined. You've got to put the phone down. You've got to go outside, take long walks, be present. Try to take a 10-minute walk without getting back into your mind thinking about something. Look at the trees, touch the trees, smell the air, Look at your feet on the ground. Look up at the sky. Appreciate that. That is real. And if we don't do that, we are going to all be living in tubes hooked up to wires for energy for the AI. And I'm here's where I sound totally crazy, but that's okay. Because if you think I'm crazy, you're not at this point in the video. But that's what I've got with that. And I'm really curious. I hope I carried this video out enough, point to point to point. I didn't jump around too much. My mind, I do have kind of a little bit of an ADD mind. So things will pop into my mind that are relevant, but I haven't really been able to process of how I want to lead into it. So I really tried my best to connect the dots when I'm speaking, but I really hope you were able to follow along enough to see, my difference between, is it intelligence or is it that we're just getting dumber? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some people are getting dumb. That's why I don't like being around people very much. But is it that, or is it that we're kind of lacking survival emotions? Things that make us go, I don't want that again. Remember that? 4 years ago, we had 4 years of that. We don't want that again. And here he is, 4 more years. So I'm really curious for you guys to put your inputs down in the comments and let me know, because I really do appreciate reading those. And I do, like I've said, say what you want to say, as long as you're not attacking other people or me, because I will block you. But, be fair, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it, because we're at a crucial point. Like I said, we are we're so close to a crossroads here. And the next one I'm going to talk about is on my next video. I'm not going to talk about the Guardsman yet. I'm not ready to, partly because it's very emotional for me. I had a little bit of a breakdown last night after hearing that young girl, 20 years old, that shouldn't have been there, passed. But the next video was one I saw about our economy. And I've been saying that I think that is where this is going. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you like the content that I've been, talking about, then that is what will be up next. And I got to go check some things here. The snow still hasn't melted off of my windshield, but I got to go make sure the chickens are all right, and probably push a little bit more snow. It looks like it's picking up again. But I hope everybody has a great Friday, and you're safe, and you're probably all in your turkey coma and leftovers. But I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, guys.